Hello, my name is Randy Rolfe, and I'm an independent Nikken consultant, and this is a product showcase that we have live every week to introduce people to the product technologies and the wellness philosophy of Nikken. And I've been with Nikken now 20 years, and I attribute my health and vitality largely to Nikken. I was deeply into nutrition long before I got involved with Nikken, and was always looking for preventive ways of enhancing the health of myself and my husband and my kids, and now my grandkids. And I was just so excited to find Nikken, which had a whole nother dimension that they had explored for many years already, of wellness based on the energy fields. And I knew a lot about that by accident, because my husband and I had bought an old farmhouse in upstate New York, and we met an Indian group that was fighting the placement of an ultra-high voltage transmission line across their land. And so we heard about the dangers of the electromagnetic pollution from these ultra-high voltage transmission lines. And there had been some already in Canada, and this was happening in upstate New York. So we heard, as young lawyers, we heard about the dangers and what had happened as far as illness when people were living closer to these lines, and the changes in dairy cows and in crops because of this high voltage electromagnetic pollution. So when I discovered that Nikken over in Japan, the founder had figured out a way to create more of a natural energy environment that our bodies will thrive in, I embraced it immediately. And so that was 20 years ago, and we didn't have any health complaints, but we actually felt better when we started using the Nikken products. So that's when I said, well, if that can make me better when I didn't know anything could get better, it could help anybody. So that's when I embraced the business, and it's been an amazing journey. So I'm going to share some slides now to make sure I don't leave anything out, and then we will talk in more detail about the technologies. Let's see, I've started, I need to just do the slideshow here. Nikken's all about discovering active wellness, and I think it's a complete privilege to discover Nikken, and it's about living a life in balance. And Nikken, from the very beginning, has focused on the importance of our everyday environment. And it's our daily choices and lifestyle habits that determine our quality of life. And in this slide, we focus on the compounding effect of these daily choices. It's not about big choices, you know, I'm going to join a fitness club in January, or I'm going to lose 30 pounds. It's those daily choices we make towards those goals, and they determine the difference between being a human under stress, not achieving your potential, and humans being more, which is and has been from the beginning the motto of Nikken. We're really building people from the ground up and teaching how important the daily choices are, and making it easy to make those healthy choices. So the compounding effect of these small choices consistently through time make a radical difference in income, health, relationships, happiness, and success. And the health environment that we're operating in, supporting Nikken and using their products, is it's worse than it was 20 years ago for a number of reasons. Stress is greater, toxins in the environment are greater, and our lifestyles are even more busy and stressed than they ever were before. We're living 24/7 types of life that increase our stress. And stress is the silent killer. It is represented in as a big cause, up to 70% of the cause of most of the reasons for early death, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, stroke, and all those things that reduce the quality of our life: fatigue, allergies, sleep problems, weight problems, anxiety, depression, and so on. It's all related to stress. And if we can help our body respond to stress and recover from daily stresses, we'll be in much better shape to resist these degenerative conditions. Sleep problems. 70% of Americans have sleep issues, and we know from science that one poor night's sleep drops your immune system from 30 to 60%. It's also absolutely essential for memory, and poor sleep interferes with learning and recall, and so it's a big problem. So many mood problems are from just not enough sleep. Fatigue and anxiety and nervousness all can increase, and denial of sleep is actually a form of torture. And too many people are experiencing short nights and poor sleep habits. And then air and water pollution are huge. Outdoor pollution can be dangerous if you're near a farming or a mining or a manufacturer kind of complex. But indoor pollution in a typical home can be 100 times worse than outdoor, because we're bringing so many chemicals into our house, cleaning chemicals and safeguarding chemicals on our furniture and our clothing, and outgassing from our furniture and our curtains and carpets. And it is all, it's a toxic buildup, what we call the body burden, or a toxic burden. Any one chemical may be safe enough, but when you put them all together, it's a huge burden. It's a physical stress on the body, on the immune system, on the detoxification organs, the liver and the kidneys and the lungs. Then we have water pollution. The Flint, Michigan fiasco really highlighted that, but many cities, including Philadelphia, which I live near, are admitting that their lead is much too high. And we know bottled water can have thousands of contaminants, even though it's been filtered to taste better. And over several hundred contaminants have been found in our tap water, including endocrine disruptors, agricultural chemicals, medications from upstream that other people have been taking. And that's really frightening, that we're getting the medications other people have been prescribed in our water. So it's critical that we do something to increase our sleep, our quality sleep, and our water, and our nutrition. And the group that's suffering the most, of course, is our children, because they're not even getting a good start. A third of kids are obese. 1 out of every 5 adolescents is considered obese. And we know it's from lack of essential nutrients. And we're also seeing all these degenerative diseases that used to be only associated with aging in our younger population. And that's really scary when you find heart disease and cancer and diabetes in kids that are under 12. Less than half of adolescents eat the needed amount of vegetables. Only 27.1% of high school children are getting the right amount of physical activity recommended. And we can understand that if they're not eating well, they're not sleeping well, they're carrying a lot of extra weight, it's a huge problem. And of course, low-income families have it way worse. They have even more stress, anxiety and depression, limited resources, and lack of access to healthier foods. So this is really an unacceptable situation. One of my goals with Nikken is to free us of degenerative diseases in my lifetime, and it's very doable if we can educate people and help them learn about the lifestyle choices that keep them resistant to early signs of aging. So what is the answer? It's about being healthy by choice, not by chance. It's humans being more and choosing active wellness, an active process through which people become aware of and make choices towards a more successful existence. So in comes Nikken. They came to the US over 23 years ago, I think it is. Started in Japan in the 70s when I was first learning about nutrition. And it's a holistic approach to life. And as a lawyer, I know I worked with giant corporations. Nikken is really at the top of the heap as far as quality, integrity, conservatism, as far as not making huge claims but having fantastic products. And from the beginning, their philosophy was living a life of balance in these 5 key areas of life: healthy mind, healthy body, healthy family, healthy society, and healthy finances. And when my husband and I left the practice of law to focus more on family and health and helping society instead of working for big firms, helping big corporations, we wanted to help society. We thought we'd kind of given up the big finance numbers that you can get in a law firm. But Nikken is all about balance. And if any of these 5 areas starts to get weak, the others get weaker. And the idea that Nikken wanted their employees, their customers, and their consultants to live this life of balance where they have the finances and the time for family and the healthy body and the healthy people to surround themselves with and making a huge contribution to society. It's a hard philosophy to resist. We fell in love with it right away. So active wellness gives you the Nikken advantage, which is a condition or circumstance that puts you in a favorable or superior position to where you were before. And Nikken has developed products in all areas of health, starting with daily products to reduce the stress on your body as you go through your day, and then sleep products, all based on replicating nature's natural energy fields. And then a purification water system, and also air, light, and amazing line of nutrition. And as a nutritionist, I was so excited to see that they are absolutely on the cutting edge of nutrition research, as well as these wonderful natural energy products. So we basically have 3 categories. We have over 100 products. So encourage everybody to explore and go to an event where, or get with a friend or consultant who can show you these products. The 3 categories are nutrition and skincare. That's taking things from the outside, and the environment. I mentioned the water. We'll talk more about that. It's superb. It's the best water anywhere. You take tap water and it transforms it by filtering it, magnetizing it with magnets so that it's declumped and more available to the cells as if it just came from the ground instead of sitting in a tank and pipes somewhere, and alkalizing it, significant alkalizing, which is incredibly important for combating stress. And then our rest and relaxation, that's really the core of our product line, starting with the insoles. That was the very first product and made Nikken the fastest growing company in the history of the world at the time. And then the sleep system, it's in its 4th generation, highly developed magnetic products and other technologies that help that energy field. And then the little square, if you're watching the video, it's for the back. I have it right on my Nikken seat right now. It supports the back, and you can also put it on the chest, the tummy, anywhere that is out of balance and needs a little extra chance to relax and recuperate itself. We also have an amazing nutritional line, organically based weight management program. There's nothing else like it on the market. So you really need to explore that. It's not just about weight loss. It's about starting your day right so that you don't crave carbohydrates and maintain a healthy weight. So now I'm going to stop our slides for a while and invite our guest to share her personal story. Elaine Matthews, we've been friends. We met through Nikken, and we're both from Pennsylvania. And Elaine has some wonderful stories about Nikken. So thank you, Elaine, for joining us. And please, what first caught your eye about Nikken, and tell us some of your stories. I know you've been involved as long as I have, and so there's many, many stories. So welcome, Elaine.
Well, thank you, Randy. I really appreciate sharing with you folks today. I'm honored to be on this call, and Randy has just been such an asset and help with all we've done in Pennsylvania and other places. And I thank you, Randy, for all you've done. I was introduced to Nikken by my brother who lived in Texas, and he was telling me about magnets, and I told him he was going to stick to the refrigerator. That's what I believed, and I laughed at him. Now, he had fallen off an overhead crane, and he wasn't up real high, but he was a mechanic and had to have many back and neck surgeries, and he was just a mess, let's put it that way. He was on 12 medications, severely depressed. This happened when he was 48 years old, and at 56, he was introduced to Nikken. And he suffered all those years. He was on permanent disability from Alcoa, where he worked in Texas. And he didn't have any quality of life. And he was sharing how these products helped him. Well, I just couldn't grasp this through the telephone, you know? And he said, I'm coming home. Our mom was selling her house, and it was July 4th weekend of 1997. And he said, I'm coming home the end of June. Now, he was using the products 3 months, and he couldn't ride in a car before, more than a half an hour, or he couldn't get out. They had to put his feet out and pull him out of the car and get him in his recliner, get him elevated, give him the remote control, and that's where he spent his day and most of his night. So for me to think about him driving from Texas to Pennsylvania, I couldn't see how he was going to do this. And he says, oh, you haven't seen me with these magnets and how much better I am. And, oh, you know, I couldn't grasp it. And I was out front when him and his wife pulled in the driveway at my mom's house, and he got out of the car by himself after riding 3 days. And Mom and I just stood there. It's given me goosebumps just sharing the story. You know, he got out of the car and he stood straight up. He didn't have his cane. He didn't have his walker. He wasn't bent over. And he's walking around with a big smile on his face. And Mom and I, we had tears running down our face because we couldn't believe this, what we were seeing. And I said, magnets did this? He said, yeah, my bed's folded up in the trunk. I have this big bag, and I have the topper in it and the pillow and the cover, and I can go anywhere. I can put it on the floor and I can sleep, and I can get up and go. And oh my goodness, I mean, his wife said, I have a new husband. And she did. And in 3 months, he was off all 12 medications. And now he wasn't able to turn his neck at all because of all the surgeries, and that didn't change. But that was his only handicap, I'd say. I mean, he was determined to go again and do and live a life that he thought he lost. And, you know, it was just amazing. I was in shock, and I think my mom was too. And, I mean, he stayed in my basement. He went up and down the steps. He couldn't do that before. He played on the floor with my dog. He was on the floor and got up and down. He was putting his own shoes and socks on again. He was doing things he could not do. And he got his life back. And I saw this, and you know, he says, what are you going to try? I said, well, I want those inserts to try because I had hurt my ankle. And I stood on the turnpike. I was a toll collector, and my ankle would swell, throb, ache, and hurt all the time. And I had neck and back injuries. I had had one surgery, you know, on my neck prior. And, you know, I was having all kinds of sinus and breathing problems, too, from the fumes from the cars and trucks. And it just, the inserts worked. And I couldn't believe how they helped me and got rid of all that swelling, throbbing, and agony. And, man, I thought, man, I need this for my whole body. And I remember one of the toll collectors, a friend of mine, she worked 3 to 11 shift, and I gave her the back magnet, the Flex, because she was complaining all the time about her back. And I said, take it home, bring it back tomorrow. I said, I don't want to do without it too long, but see if it helps you. Well, she came back and she said to me, you're not getting this back. I went home, I vacuumed my house, I was chasing my cat around the house, and my husband said, what in the world has come over you. And she said, I'm keeping this. I said, no, let me get you a new one. That's mine. And you don't want mine. Oh, yeah, this works. I don't want another one. And she would not give it back to me. She made me order a new one, and she paid for everything. But that was the beginning of my journey of wanting to help people and share with people. And, you know, it's led me for 20 years down this road of joy and happiness, you know, making a difference in people's lives. And, you know, it did eventually help me in many ways with my breathing challenges. You know, my doctor had told me I was going to have to quit my job because I was on his 8 medications and I wasn't getting better in my lungs. And he said, you're just going to have to quit. I don't know what else to tell you. Well, that's when I really invested in Nikken, and I got the sleep system, and I got the sleep mask, and I got myself a couple of those back flexes. And I went to work with a dickie on, and I had one on the front and one on the back so I could breathe. And I took my mag boys with me too. I had a long handle and I could roll those things, and well, they just relaxed me. And when you relax, you breathe better. So it worked. It worked so well. And in 3 months, I was off 7 of my 8 medications. And I stayed with the Turnpike another 10 years till I could retire. And then I retired early because I could. You know, all these years, I was doing this, and finally I realized, hey, this would be a great plan B. Maybe I can get out of here early. And when we went on strike on the Turnpike, that's when it really hit me that I better get serious, because we were lucky we went back to work. Next, you know, look at where the Turnpike is today and what they're doing, and downsizing everybody. Everybody's going to lose their job because of Easy Pass. So I started, you know, sharing with people and helping people. And my mom got very, very sick, and you know, she had many things that hit her. She was 80 when she was introduced to Nikken, when my brother came home. And at 86, she had back surgery. And afterwards, her feet dangled and hung. She could not walk. And there was no hope at that age of her ever walking again or any, you know. And this lady was, as my dad would say in Pennsylvania Dutch, a schussel. A schussel is someone that scurries around like a chicken with their head cut off. And that was my mom. And, you know, she couldn't walk. Now, everything else was fine. Everything. I mean, her heart was strong. Everything was great. And I started using one of our products on her. It was a spinning ball, I called it, that you plugged in. And I used to put it at her tailbone and let it just spin. She didn't like it much, but, well, she eventually used it because the neurosurgeon insisted that she used it because she was feeling some tingling and prickling in her legs. She's given me a hard time up until that point, but once he said, hey, you got to use this. If you're feeling something, that's good. That means something's happening. And by darn, I'm not making any medical claims here, folks. I'm just sharing my mom's story. 3 months later, my mom, actually it was 2 months. It was from March to May. 5 days after Mother's Day, she walked out of the nursing home and came home. And I'm telling you, folks, if I wasn't passionate before, I sure was passionate now. Because, boy, you know, when it helps somebody you love, it really makes a difference in your life. So that was she was 86. She lived to be 91. She came back, and there's a lot more to that story. I mean, we almost lost her in the hospital. She was in real bad shape because of all the medication they were throwing at her, and her body couldn't handle it. But we got her back, and she lived another 5 years. She walked. We went to Texas to see my brother. We went to California to see her brother. I mean, people were amazed at her quality of life. And, you know, I could go on about this story. I don't want to take too much time, but, you know, at 91, she was on she was given something that shut her body down, a medication. And it was, I didn't realize what they gave her. And I did everything I could to help her, but it was just too late. But we moved from eastern Pennsylvania to western Pennsylvania to be closer to my family, to my son. And she lived another 8 months after we moved. And it was the grandkids, it was the family. It was the support of everybody, that helped her come back. So I got to retire early from the turnpike because I could make that decision to go and leave eastern Pennsylvania, go west 5 hours and start a new life. I'm out here now, and I'm meeting new people. I'm active in the church I'm involved in out here. I'm active with my family. My mom did pass away in July. We went out in December, and she just had a great quality of life. She did everything she wanted to do. But I got to retire early. I got to live my dream of being with my family in western Pennsylvania, and we just got back from Florida. So we went there for a week, and I'll tell you, without these products, and I got to take some sleep things along, and to keep up with those young grandkids of mine is a challenge, But I did it, and I still have some breathing problems, but they're a lot better than they were. The products, actually, I wear this around my neck all the time, and this little medallion really helps me to breathe. So it's been an incredible journey just with my family. But the stories of the people we've helped along the way, and Randy was a big part of that with one of my ladies that had, she actually went blind in one eye, and she had a lot of problems with, I don't want to say the name of the word, so just head problems, I guess I can say, and many surgeries. And she was young when that happened, but Nikken got her back to living a life of quality. And Randy met her in Texas, and that was awesome because Randy shared her nutrition knowledge, and she listened to Randy, and she changed her ways with drinking more water, as Randy said, how important the water is. And I find that as I add all the new things Nikken comes out with, I just get healthier. And, with my friend, her name is Kim, and what has happened for her, she got to leave this area and go where she wanted to go to be with her family. And she got off a lot of medication, and she's living a life she never thought she could live either. So there's so much joy in this company. There's so much love and support from so many people. People, I share to people, don't miss this opportunity. At least try it, because what do you have to lose? It might just change your life, or someone you love. It might change their life. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. A very, very moving story, and so many of us share the ups and downs with family, and your sharing was very meaningful. It's amazing to be part of a group where we can help each other bring the news of Nikken to people and show them that their body is always trying to heal. And, there's an important place for modern medicine, but even if we're under medical care for various reasons, we still need to do what we can do through self-care, making sure we do have the sleep and the water and the air and the good nutrition and the stress relief that supports our body's efforts to keep us youthful and healthy. Thank you so much for sharing, Elaine. Really It was beautiful. And I'm going to just close with a couple of quick slides here. So you've heard Elaine's personal experiences. There's so many more. So ask yourself if what you're doing today is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. And as Elaine said, people can get their lives back, things they thought they'd never do again. Nikken can help them do that by giving them the basic support of the body's health. So your new success story begins by just looking at those 5 pillars of health. What would you like to improve? And discover Nikken. Become a customer, get hold of the products. You start with the insoles or the back flex or the water or the cocoon, which is our sleeping bag version of our sleep system. Everything is priced to be affordable if you put a good priority on your health. And then you can become a part-time entrepreneur like many of us, or full-time. And actually, like Elaine said, that this is her retirement business, and she was able to retire early, and many of us have done that with Nikken. So we encourage you to discover Nikken, get back with the consultant who suggested you watch this webinar. And thank you again, Elaine, for sharing. That was really beautiful, how many people you've been able to help. And that was just in your family. She's helped so many others. And thank you for watching, and our new folks. And I'm going to end the recording now. And have a great week.